guys, welcome back. So another sit down video. I feel like it's been a while since the last time I sat down and filmed a sit down video and just sat here and talk to you guys. So I know I talk a lot during my vlogs, but I haven't had like an actual sit down video. Today's video is going to be about how I became a flight attendant. I asked you guys in my last vlog if you guys were interested in seeing a video about how I became a flight attendant, like my story. And so I decided to start like a mini series kind of. So I'm going to kind of break this series down into, how I became a flight attendant and the application process. And then I will do the training, how training was, my training experience, what you guys can expect from training, how my life out on reserve was, because I did have to move from state. I had to move from my home state, California, to Texas to my base. So I want to talk to you guys about that and just kind of break things down and tell you guys how I got to where I am today. But today's video is going to be how I became a flight attendant, how the idea ever even came up, and how I ended up at my current airline. For safety reasons, I cannot tell you which airline I work for. I've said this many times. Okay. Before I was a flight attendant, I used to work at a financial institution, a very well-known financial institution. I was 20 years old when I started there. My husband was deployed in Afghanistan, and I started working in San Clemente, California, which is in Orange County. It's right next to Camp Pendleton, where my husband was stationed at the time in the Marine Corps. And he was deployed, so I decided, I'm just gonna get, a job at a bank while I'm going to online school. So I was doing, that, and I started out as a teller. I met amazing people there. I met my best friend Camille there. I made so many great friends there, some of the best coworkers ever. And when my husband came back from Afghanistan, it was fun. I got pregnant and got promoted to a half teller, half banker position. So you're kind of like a personal banker, but also a teller. So you're doing a little bit of both. I was very good at that. I did very well. I hit my goals and everything. And I went out on maternity leave, had my son, went back to work when my son was like 6 months old, 5 or 6 months old. And which, yes, I know it's really early. Don't even get me started on that. But I came back to work. So I started falling out of love with the job that I thought was going to be my career, because I had it in my head that I was going to go and be in the HR department, corporate, or learning and development, which is the training side, which is something that I would really like to do at some point in my life. And it looked like it was something that was never going to happen for me. So in the summer of 2014, my husband, my son, and I went to Guatemala, and there was a flight attendant on the plane, and my husband was like, "Oh, you should be a flight attendant." And I looked at him like, "You're crazy. Like, they're always gone." I'm like, "No, heck no, they're always gone. We have the baby. Like, I can't, no." And at this point, he had already gotten out of the military. So he had just gotten out of the military. So he was just like, "Oh, just do it." And I said, no, I'm okay. Anyway, as soon as I get back to work after our vacation in Guatemala, I'm helping out this customer with a line of credit. And she goes, "Yeah, I'm a flight attendant for Alaska Airlines." And I go, "Oh, that's cool. That's a cool job to have. I don't think I could ever do it because I have a son." And she looked at me like, "So? Single moms do it all the time. Why can't you do it?" And I go, tell me more. And then she's just telling me, how amazing it is, how she's been doing it for about 20 years, how it's hard at first, but, the longer you're there, the better it gets. And you're able to provide your family with all these different memories of traveling and going to all these different places and stuff. So it made me curious, and I never wanted to really be a flight attendant. It wasn't like my life dream to ever be a flight attendant, you know? I feel like if you're a flight attendant, it's almost like the right thing to say, like, oh, I've been wanting to do this ever since I was a little girl. Not me. I thought I was going to end up in my company, you know, in learning and development, 9 to 5, with, you know, my 3 kids, and that was like my life. That's what I thought I would wanted to do. But the minute this woman told me about being a flight attendant, I was just like, wait, let me do some research. So I went to the break room after she left, and I couldn't get the thought out of my head. So I texted my husband, and I go, hey, would you support me? Would you support me if I decided to become a flight attendant? And he goes, oh my God, yes, do it. And I thought, okay. And I went home and I started researching, and all I wanted to do was research about flight attendant jobs, about the flight attendant life. I didn't really want to apply just yet. But then I started looking at like all these different airlines that were hiring at the time, and I just all of a sudden felt like I wanted it so bad. I wanted it more than anything in the world. Like, that's what I wanted. And at that moment, I was just ready and done with my job and to become a flight attendant. So I applied for every single airline that was hiring. So I pretty much made a list of all the airlines that I could think of. So, you know, Delta, American, Spirit, JetBlue, Express, Jet, you know, all these, even Canada Air. I even looked into Emirates, but I mean, I was just ready to become a flight attendant. So I looked at all those different airlines and saw which ones were hiring. So I applied for everyone that was hiring. That was September 11th when I decided to apply. Well, after that, I started just praying about it, and you know, this is something that really, I don't know if you guys are, you know, religious or whatever. I come from a Christian family. I was born in a Christian family, so I decided to put my faith in God for this process. And you know, if this is meant to be, it'll happen. If this is where you want me, this is where I'm going to go. We were ready to get out of California. We were ready for me to leave that job. I wanted to do something else. So September 11th was when I applied. About a month later, I think like October 2nd, one of the airlines contacted me, and they sent me an email. I remember my parents were praying, I was praying, my in-laws were praying, everybody in my family was praying, and I did the video interview. Then maybe about a week later, another airline contacted me, and again, I did the video interview for them too. So about like 3 weeks later, like the first week of November, 2 airlines reached out to me, my current airline and another airline. And I was talking to my husband, and I go, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And he goes, listen, go. This is what you want to do. You want to do this. I already did what I wanted to do with my life, which was to be in the military. Now that I'm out, it's your turn to do something that you want to do with your life. Even if it's not permanent, even if it's just temporary, do something that you want to do with your life. I said, okay. So I decided that I was going to go to the interview. So I bought my plane ticket to Dallas. I called off work to go to the interview, and it was a 2-day interview. Back then it was a 2-day interview. The day finally came, and I went to Dallas. I went to the interview. It was my first time ever in Texas. I had been to Texas before, like I had driven through Texas, but I had never been to this part of Texas, and it was just scary. It was so scary. I did all my research. I was on YouTube looking at vloggers and stuff like that. There were a few that answered your questions back then, but not like now where you have like all these different vloggers vlogging about the flight attendant life. Back then it was just people doing sit-down videos and answering all your questions, like what to expect, what to wear, what to say, what not to say to flight attendant in your flight attendant interview. Which is why I also wanted to start my channel, because I feel like when I was searching for the flight attendant stuff, flight attendant information, a lot of the information that is out there now wasn't out there before. So I did my research. I went on Glassdoor. I went to all these different websites that would help me answer or that would help me pass my flight attendant interview. So the day finally came for me to go to my flight attendant interview. I flew out of California and did a layover in Phoenix to Dallas. I got to Dallas around 1 a.m. because the flight was delayed. I had to be at the interview around 6 a.m. just waiting in line. And so I got to my hotel, slept maybe like 2 hours, if that, and got ready, wore my hair up in a bun, no strayaways, everything was, in place, my makeup was done, wore a red lipstick, had red nails, wore a pearl necklace, wore a suit skirt, some heels, looked very professional. And I got to my hotel, or I got to the hotel where we were having the interview at, and there was about 300 of us that were trying to get in. And what they did is that they checked that you had everything that they had asked you to have in an email. So before the interview, they sent out an email asking you, oh, this is what you need to bring. You need to bring your high school diploma, your passport, a green card if you only have a green card, or the invitation for the interview. And they had a bunch of other stuff that they needed, but some people didn't have their high school diploma or high school transcripts, or they didn't have, some things were missing, so they got sent home. So maybe about like 200 of us made it in, so we got inside, and they pretty much, okay, this is just my interview. Not every interview process is like this, okay? So disclaimer, not every interview is like this. This is just my interview process, okay? So I'm just letting you know what I went through and how I became a flight attendant. Other airlines are completely different, if not the same. We went into this room, and they had us go up in front of everybody and pick into a little jar, put our hand in a little jar, bring out a question, and then it would tell you, you had to answer it. So they gave you like specific directions on how to do this. So they would say, okay, well, give us your name, where you're from, answer the question, and go around this way. Go around and then sit down. So they were looking at everything to make sure that you follow directions, because as a flight attendant, it's very important for you to follow directions in case of an emergency. So I went up, finally. I was one of the last people to go up. So a lot of the people that didn't follow the directions got sent home. So after that, what they did is they came into the room, and they said, okay, if we call your name, come meet us outside. So they called all these names, they went outside, and those people never came back. So we had about an hour break after that, and then we came back, and they put us in a group, and the group activity that we had to do was to create our own airline and have us present it to the class or to the group. So we did that, and then again took us back to the room, and a lot of the people that were called didn't get to stay, so they went home. Then after that, they called us in a separate room and told us, okay, well, congratulations, you have an invitation to come back tomorrow with for the face-to-face interview, for the one-on-one interview. So we went back to our hotels or whatever, and then we came back the next day, and then they just had us sit down with 2 recruiters. So it was an HR person, and one of them was a flight attendant, actually. And they started asking us all these questions about, I can't really get into the questions, sorry. I answered them the best that I could. Went back into a room. They told us, congratulations, welcome, to the airline. This is all your information about fingerprinting, drug testing, and we'll contact you for training. So I was so excited. I'm not the kind of person that if I'm excited, I jump up and down. I'm very like, oh my God, yes, thank you, But That day I jumped up and down. I started jumping up and down. I even hugged the person next to me. So if you know me personally, you know I'm not like, woo! I'm not one of those people. But that day I jumped up and down. So I called my husband after that, and he was like, so what happened? And I go, looks like we're moving to Texas. And my life was going to start changing so fast after that. And I went back home. Everything was, just so surreal. I gave my 3 weeks notice the next day at work. I told him I was going to become a flight attendant. And so it was bittersweet leaving that job because that's what I really wanted forever. And here I was leaving it to move to another state, to move to, a state I didn't really know anybody in Texas. So it was very sad. So, but then it was all about getting ready for that. I had it was all about getting ready for training. I had to go buy luggage. Kind of spend time with my family a little bit more because I was going to be gone for a few weeks. I was going to be gone for a total of like 2 months. So I was so sad about that. I took advantage. We went to the mountains in California. I went to Big Bear because it snows in Big Bear. And I went to the beach as much as I could. I went out with my friend Camille I went to visit her in Sonoma County, went wine tasting, spent as much time as I could with my mom and dad. And then I also had to do fingerprinting. I had to take a drug test. I had to wait for my background check to clear before I could get my training date. So yeah, on December 27th, I left California and went to training. I was there for about 6 weeks and it was very rough. I will get into that in the next video though, my training experience and how everything went and my advice on how you can get through training. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit rushed because I do have to go get my son from school. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you guys for all the feedback, all the positive feedback on wanting to see this series. This is very exciting. Don't forget to follow me on social media, which is Wonderfully Ale, for Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. I will talk to you guys there. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Click the notification button so you guys get notifications of when I post a video, because I know a lot of you like to watch the videos as soon as they go up. So yeah, don't forget to click the notification video. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.